Hi, this is Angel Jones. I love great conversations where life's journey is communicated not only through words, but tones and emotions. Explosive expressions that allow you to feel what they felt and learned. A fool learns only from his own mistake, while the wise learn from their own and from those others have made. Thanks for being here with us. A good day, Terryn Barill. Did I pronounce that correctly? So Terryn, your last name.
Terryn Barill, yes.
Wonderful. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful day?
Oh, today's a great day. This is amazing.
Hey, tell me, Terryn, which of your talents is responsible for us meeting?
Well, I don't network well, but I seem to have a talent for connecting people who do network well. And I think one of them connected us up because you're doing this amazing project. So
Ooh,
here I am.
amazing how it works. It's like it came full circle around. So you right?
Yeah. And then I went and I put you on my network so that you could get even more people for this goal. So yeah,
Amazing.
we all help each other out. That's the best thing, right?
Hey, I think so. Thank you very much for doing that, and thank you for being the introverted networker that you are. So, who did you learn the skill from?
I have no idea. I honestly, I think it's magic. I think people take pity on me, but it just seems to work for me. And once I realized that that was kind of my specific groove for networking, I'm never going to walk into a room and meet 90% of the people in there. I also realized that I don't need to. So, part of that was just accepting who I am. And I think that works for me.
Wonderful, wonderful. Why will you continue to repeat this skill, knowing that it works for you? Is that the reason?
It is, but I think also connecting with people is important. I think people forget that there are real humans on the other side of the computer, and we need human connection. So I'm really good at it one to one, but not in like far ranging networks. I'd actually like to get better at that. But meanwhile, wherever I go, I just try and create even just a moment of real human connection. I think people are craving that.
I think so too. I think so too. Honestly, because even with these conversations, I've seen it where, and I think there are three grades to conversations, and I only uncovered this in having these conversations. And one is the model of conversation we're having here, or be it text, or even the conversation that occurs with a book. So the writer has a conversation with him or herself, and then he writes or she writes, and then the reader reads it, and then is having a conversation with their self as well, right? And then
Absolutely.
there's one A, which is the you could do Skype or video, so you're seeing the person. But then there's the second part where you get to meet that person one on one, which has a value in itself, where you're seeing that person flesh to flesh. And then thirdly, it's for me, the other aspect is when you're able now to connect and do business together, be it you doing business directly with the other person or connecting that person to someone else who is doing business that would be more favorable for them. So for me, those are the three grades that occur in conversations.
Yeah. And I think all three of those are a good definition of powerful networking. Don't you think?
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
sums
both the
it up.
personal connection and the potential business connection, and just a connection, a real live connection.
Yeah, because I would rather do business, in spite of it being more expensive, with someone I know than being the guy that is looking for someone that is just cheaper. Because someone I know, for me, it just helps and it's amazing. I spoke to someone in Australia last night, and she was talking about when we're creating business or we're setting up energy fields and who we have in that and who we have doing that. And she was talking from a quantum physics perspective, how it affects the business. So it's the same, I think, when you're doing business and you could go for the cheaper person, right? And that has its value monetarily. But then when you're incorporating someone that you know, and you know how their levels of integrity, I would say, it changes everything, I believe.
Yeah, plus when you have that connection, whether it's long term or just meeting somebody and you kind of get each other, you very quickly get into a shorthand where you say, it's like this. And you can sort of work things out verbally and the other person understands. And the quality of the work goes up because it's resonating with both of you, as opposed to working with somebody who honestly doesn't get you.
Yeah.
And whenever you try and work with somebody who doesn't really understand who you are or what you're doing, it's always going to be frustrating.
Yeah, I've seen that. You're correct. So for those outsourcing work, take note. Take note well. Well, Terryn, let's tell me one thing that you've done consistently over the past 3 years, please.
I have stopped making excuses for who I am. I spent a very long time trying to fit in. I think I was socialized that way as a young girl, and it took me a long time, and I can look back and I can see that in my 20s I found my voice, and in my 30s I stepped up, and in the last 3 years I have just really stopped saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, but I really feel this way." I drop the apologies, and it's just, this is what I think, this is what I feel, and that gives me a strength that I haven't had. I think, with age comes wisdom. I think there's a bit of that going on.
How does it make you feel?
It feels like I've stepped into my power in a way I never have before. I think, okay, this is going to sound goofy, but there's a point in a woman's development, and some stories refer to it as the grandmother age, some refer to it as crone, and a lot of women fight that. They want to stay in the young girl or the mature woman, but they don't want to really get into a place where it's like, you know what, I've done that. I've raised my kids. I've done this, that, and the other for society. And now this time of my life is about what I want to do and what I want to leave behind on the planet. And I think that there's a real power in that. And I think we live in an age where people, not just women, but people are more capable than ever of doing that. And yet so few of them are, because that way of being, that story is not woven into what we're taught from society. We're taught you work at a job until you retire, and then you kind of waste time until you die. And statistically, when people don't have something to do, a purpose, after they give up work, they die faster. So to my mind, we need to find something to do in this last part of our lives to make it worthwhile.
I love that. The only thing I didn't love in that statement is that you started by saying, this may sound goofy, because it's nothing but it's not that. You're very correct. I love that. And I hope that all that heard it, that it registered. Because it's really important. It's really important to live your life with purpose. There's this book that I read called Half Time, because you're speaking about maturity. And
Right.
it just spoke about reaching halftime, which is age 50, right? And then
Hmm.
creating a plan, but creating a plan to live, not creating a plan, as you said, to waste the rest. And I love how you put that. Well said, Terryn. Wonderful.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's switch gears for a bit now. Let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Terryn, what is your earliest childhood memory?
Earliest childhood memory. I remember being around 2 years old, and I had to have been around two because it was the only time that we visited my father's great aunt, and she was dead by the time I was three. So I'm in there somewhere. And I remember this is funny to me, but I remember the wallpaper in her bathroom. It was this scarlet and black flocked uh, wallpaper, and it would have been perfect for like an 1860s San Francisco bordello. I don't know what possessed her to put this thing in her bathroom. But even as a 2-year-old, I remember sitting there and thinking, this wallpaper is horrible. I
Wow.
mean, that's a funny memory, but it's one of the earliest I have.
Why do you think it's so clear?
I think I'm not sure. I think maybe I've always had this eye for design, and in another life, if things had gone differently, yeah, I might have gone into design. So I think that was inherently there.
Wow.
But even now, I can picture that wallpaper. I mean, how clear is that? That is ridiculous.
Oh, well, I guess it is to some point, but I'll tell you something. Can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture?
Absolutely.
Your great aunt, right? Possibly lived that same life that you described, where you reached to an age where instead of refresh or renew, you end up becoming ancient. And for some reason, you connected to what not to do in terms of what she did by choosing and what she chose, right? So she chose, I'm not saying old, but she chose ancient. And as much as that has a value, and it is her right, I'm guessing you decided when you reached that point that you were not going to be like that.
Maybe. I mean, I've never thought about it that way, but it's entirely possible.
Well, it's only an interpretation. It's a picture that was created by your conversation in my mind. It's just amazing. Cause which child remembers those colors? And to the point of why did she choose that old type of wallpaper, right?
Right.
It was pretty amazing. If we fast forward to when you were 12, Terrence, what was your favorite song?
I have no idea. I'm an absolute idiot when it comes to music. I'm one of those people that I can sing along with the radio, but I never remember who sang it or what album or when it came out.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. You're not the first person. You're not going to be the last.
Okay.
All right, we have arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form, so it's yes or no. Terryn, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Not yet, but I will.
Are you married?
Not anymore. I was married.
Okay, do you have children?
2 kids, and they are off the payroll and on their own.
Ooh, boy and girl?
2 boys.
All right. Do you believe in God?
Absolutely.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Absolutely.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No, not at all.
How about 3 hours a week?
Maybe. Does hockey count? Hockey, they play like 84,000 games a season, and I end up seeing quite a few of them. So that alone could count for 3 hours.
All right, all right. What about screen time, the phone and or the computer? Do you spend more than 8 hours or less than 8 hours a day?
Probably more, I would say.
All right, Terryn, this was a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
People don't get the lives they want because they don't have a clear enough picture in their head. They can't clearly articulate what they want. And there are 4 elements to getting that picture really clear in your head. If people want to join me on my website, Terryn.com, I have a free mini course that will help them out, and I would love to have them join me.
Wonderful. Terryn Barill, thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you so much.
Amazing audience. Before you leave, there's one person I'd like to introduce you to, Amanda Jones. She is my wife, and her passion is to educate, encourage, and empower.
Hi, I'm Amanda Jones, and I'm a registered nurse. Do you or someone you know have diabetes? According to the International Diabetes Federation, in 2015 worldwide, 415 million people were living with diabetes. Just as that figure is overwhelming, so too can the effects of diabetes be. So, to help simplify diabetes for both adult and child, I've used rhymes in my books, The ABCs of Diabetes for Children and Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes. At its simplest, rhymes help us to remember. If you, a child or friend, want an easy, reader-friendly way to know about diabetes, then get a copy of these books. For more details, you can go to poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.